Hello student, this is Dr. Shivali Verma from Oriental College of Technology, Bhopal. Today's our topic is Heisenberg uncertainty, a principle. Before starting the Heisenberg uncertainty principle statement, I want to say something about that from where this concept is came. So as we know that when particle is moving in a form of wave, or we can say that when in a quantum mechanics, when particle behave like a wave, at the time what happen? When, as we know that particle, when particle start moving in a form of wave, it is not a moving or associated with a single wave. It is associated with a number of waves, and these all waves, when these waves are superimposed to each other, they form a wave packet. Okay. So when we are talking about this wave packet, we don't know the position of the particle inside this wave packet. Why? Because where particle is exist inside this packet, it is not known by the situation of this wave, or the component of this wave. So Max Born give their one interpretation about this. He said that the where the maximum amplitude, the particle is exist there, where the wave having a maximum amplitude. So suppose in this wave, this S position, in this position the amplitude of this waveform or this wave packet is maximum. So the probability of finding the particle between this area is maximum, but outside this area the amplitude is going to be reduced. That's why the probability of finding the particle after this is not the particle is not exist there, or we can say that the probability of finding the particle is less here. Okay. So from this concept, the Heisenberg uncertainty came. As you know that this is the one form of the wave packet. If suppose these are the some form of the wave packet. This is the first form, the second and third. There we are discussing about these three forms. So if the wave packet is looking like that, means that if the amplitude each and everywhere the amplitude is same, and frequency is constant, in that condition what happen? In that condition, the probability of finding the particle is here also maximum, here also maximum, here also maximum, because each and everywhere the amplitude is same. So if the probability of finding the particle everywhere the particle is exist, it means that we are uncertain in its position. Okay, and we are more uncertain because we don't know where the particle is, because each and everywhere the amplitude is maximum. So we are uncertain in such type of a wave packet where the amplitude is same everywhere. But we know that here we are easily calculate the wavelength of this wave. Why? Because we know that the wavelength is the distance between the two crust, or a distance between the two trough. And here we are easily identify the crust and trough of the wave. Therefore, we can say that we are very certain about the wavelength, or we can easily measure the wavelength. And wavelength is related with the momentum. So if we are certain in the wavelength, we are certain in the momentum. So in such type of a wave, in this first waveform, we can say that we are uncertain in the position of particle, but certain in the position of certain in the momentum term. So here we can easily calculate the momentum, but we cannot easily calculate the position of the particle. So if we are simultaneously going to calculate these two values, position and momentum, one can be a measure with a certain value, or we can say that up to certain numerical values, but we have uncertain in the position. Now we are talking about the this second waveform. In this second waveform, the amplitude is not equal everywhere. Somewhere it is very less, and gradually it is increased towards the center. So we can say that the probability of finding the particle at the center is maximum, and it is decreases this side, or it is decreases this side. So we are very much certain and in the position at the center. But if we are talking about the momentum of this wave, we are not certain in the momentum. Why? Because as you see that here the position here, we cannot measure the wavelength very clearly, because one peak is a high, another peak is a low. Similarly, this peaks are going to be a decrease. So we cannot measure the proper wavelength of the this wave. So that if we are uncertain in a wavelength measurement, it means that we are uncertain in the uncertain in the momentum. So in such a condition, if we are certain in the position, we are uncertain in a momentum. Now we are talking about this third waveform. In this third form, we are getting only two peak. It means that particle is existent between these two peak only. Means we are very much certain about the position of the particle. But see, this peak is very low and this peak is very high. So the measurement of wavelength is very uncertain. We cannot measure the wavelength up to a certain value. It means we cannot measure the momentum. It means that here the uncertainty in the momentum is very high, and uncertainty in the position is very low. Here the uncertainty in position is mediocre and uncertainty is momentum is also mediocre. Here uncertainty in position is very high, but uncertainty in momentum is very low. So as we see by this three waveforms, that when we are going to be a measure or one thing up to a certain value, another quantity is uncertain, or we can say that we cannot measure it up to a certain value. So if we are going to measure simultaneously momentum and position of a particle inside a wave packet, then one, if we are certain in a one quantity, we are uncertain in another quantity. So from this the uncertainty concept is came, and Heisenberg state that we cannot simultaneously measure the momentum and position of a particle with a certain values. Okay, they find there are some errors during the measurement of position and momentum of a particle. Uh, so, on the basis of this concept, Heisenberg state this statement: the position of momentum of a microparticle which shows wave nature cannot be measured simultaneously precisely. Okay, so this is the statement of one statement of Heisenberg uncertainty principle. But basically, Heisenberg uncertainty principle is not only given for the momentum and position only. Actually, this momentum and positions are known as a complex conjugate quantities. We will discuss about this further. First, I'm going to read this another statement of Heisenberg uncertainty principle. According to Heisenberg uncertainty principle, the product of two pair of complex conjugate quantity is greater than h cut by 2, or of order of h cut. It means that he has given this thing that whenever you are going to be a measure simultaneously these two quantities, or then its product, or we can say that the uncertainty is nothing but it is a one type of a error. Actually, the product of this the error which is generated in a measurement of position and momentum is always greater than h cut by 2, or of order of h cut. And what is the order of h cut? We know that h cut is equal to h upon on 2 pi. So the h order is 10 to the power minus 34. So h cut order is similar to it, and it is also equal to the 10 to the power minus 34. It means that this error is in the order of 10 to the power minus 34 only. Now here we use one new concept, and that concept is a complex conjugate quantity. Now what is this complex conjugate quantities? The quantities which cannot be measured at the same time with a certain certainty, or up to a precise value. These type of pairs, or such type of pairs, are known as a complex conjugate quantities. So we have a three types of a pair of complex conjugate quantity. The first pair consists by the position and momentum, second by energy and time, and third one is from the angular position and angular momentum. So the mathematical form of the Heisenberg uncertainty principle is given in this form. The first form is delta x dot delta p is greater than or equal to h cut by 2, where del x is a uncertainty in the position, del p is uncertainty in the momentum. Again, I want to explain this thing very clearly, that uncertainty is nothing but it is a measurement error, or we can say that whenever we are going to be measure these two quantities simultaneously, at that time whatever the error is generated uh, during the measurement, that is represented by the uncertainty only. So similarly, delta E by delta T is greater than or equal to h cut by 2. Delta E is uncertainty in energy, delta T is uncertainty in time. The delta J and delta phi is here. Delta phi is a uncertainty in angular position. Delta J is a uncertainty into angular momentum. Okay. Now, as I said that it is must be a greater than or equal to h cut by 2. It means that this the product of the uncertainty between these two complex conjugate quantity must be in order of h cut, or it is greater than or equal to h cut by 2. Okay, so this is the statement of Heisenberg uncertainty principle and concept of Heisenberg uncertainty principle. Now we are dealing with the so after this display statement, I'm going to be derive the Heisenberg uncertainty principle. As you know that Heisenberg uncertainty principle is generated inside the wave packet only, or we can say that it is given for that particle which is moving with a wave, or its nature is wave, and it is inside one wave packet. So for the formation of wave packet, we need a one or more, two or more than two waves. So here we consider that two waves of a same amplitude and a slightly different angular frequency omega 1 and omega 2, and a slightly different propagation constant k1 and k2 superimposed to form a wave packet. And these waves are represented at y1 is equal to a sine omega 1 t minus k1x, and y2 a sine omega t minus k2x. As you know that superimposition is nothing but it is a addition of these two waves. So superimposition is equal to, mathematically superimposition is equal to y is equal to y1 plus y2. Now we are going to be substitute the value of y1 and y2. As you know that the this is a one of type of a trigonometrical relation, or we can say that trigonometrical identity, because omega 1 and t minus k1x is equal to the b, and this omega 2 minus k2 is equal to the c. So it is equal to a one identity c sine b plus sine c. And as we know that sine b plus sine c is equal to 2a sine b plus c by 2 multiplied by cos b minus c by 2. So this is our b, and this factor is our c. When we are going to substitute this value in our trigonometrical relation, and after solving it, we will get this equation. So the whole derivation of this or we can say that the solution of this equation or substitution is given in the video of group velocity and wave velocity derivation of given. So kindly refer that for the complete solution of a sine omega 1 t minus k1x is equal to a omega t minus k2x. Now after doing this calculation, we will get this equation. We have rearranged this equation, and in this equation we put the value of omega 1 minus omega 2 divided by 2 or we can say that the value of omega 1 minus omega 2 is equal to delta omega, and k1 minus k2 is equal to delta k, and omega 1 plus omega 2 divided by 2 is equal to omega, and k1 plus k2 divided by 2 is equal to k. So we get this equation, and this equation is nothing but this is the equation of our resultant wave. Suppose this resultant wave is looking like that, means in this figure 1 we have shown the propagation of this wave. Okay, so we have seen here that at x1 position and at x2 position the amplitude is 0, and we know that this factor cos delta omega by 2t multiplied by delta kx by 2x is the amplitude of this resultant wave. It means that this amplitude is 0 at x is equal to 1 and x is equal to 2. It means that this cos factor is equal to the 0. So at x is equal to 1, so x if we are putting this value, the here we put the, at the place of x we put the 1, then we can say that our amplitude is 0 at position on x1. Similarly, when we are going to calculate the amplitude at position x2, we have to put at the place of x1 what, x2. So we get this two equation, equation number 1 and equation number 2. As you know that cos is 0 if only and if its value is equal to 2n plus 1 pi by 2. So here its value is at x1, if we are suppose that the value of this omega t by 2 oh sorry delta omega by 2 t minus delta k by 2 x1 is equal to 2n plus 1 pi by 2. So we go ahead to x2. It means that we move by 3 pi by 2, we move here. First we are the here the angle is pi by 2, but here the angle is 3 pi by 2. So that if the at a position x1, if the value is the angle value is 2n plus 1 pi by 2, then at x2 position the angle value become 2n plus 3 pi by 2. Okay, now we are going to subtract this equation 1 and 2. So when we are going to subtract this equation 1 and 2, we get this. So whatever the things are going to be a cancel, we are cancelling it like that. This delta omega 2 by t and delta omega 2 by t are the common, and so we cancel it out. And what we will get after that, we get this minus is multiplied with this minus become plus. That's why we written here delta k by 2 omega delta k by 2 x2 2 minus delta k by 2 x1 1 is equal to by subtracting this value we get this minus 2 pi by 2. Now we cancel this 2 by 2 because one is a denominator and another one is a numerator. So we get this equation, and so in this equation we get the delta k by 2 x1 minus x2 is equal to pi. Now as you know that this x1 and x2 are the nothing but they are the difference between the two positions, and that's why we can that delta so that we can write x1 minus x2 is equal to del x. Okay, now we can take this to this side. So my equation becomes delta k minus delta x is equal to 2x. Now we know that the value of k is equal to 2 pi by lambda. So at the place of k we have right here 2 pi by lambda. Now this 2 is cancelled by this sorry, this 2 pi by is cancelled by this 2 pi. So only one thing is left, 1 by lambda dot delta x is equal to 1. Now we know that by the de Broglie hypothesis, thus lambda is equal to h by p. So if we are writing here h by p, h is in the h by p. So p came in the denominator and h came in the numerator. So that's why when we are rearranging it, h left in the denominator and p in goes at the numerator side. So we get this equation, and so we multiply this h here. So what we will get delta p dot delta x is equal to h, and this is our first form of the Heisenberg uncertainty principle. Okay, so do not confuse with that we have proven this like that the delta p dot delta x is equal to h, but actually we said that it is in the off order of h cut. So whatever the order of h cut, same h it is similar as a h. That's why this is we cannot say that we are to we have in the statement we have read that it is equal to h cut by 2. or it is greater than equal to h cut by 2 of order of h cut. So it is similar as that only, because h and h cut are having a same order. Okay, now we are going to derive the second form of the Heisenberg uncertainty principle. So let me start that total energy is equal to E is equal to P square by 2m. Now we are going to be differentiated. We have differentiated here, so we put the delta and delta here. This delta, which shown this by the delta sign, but actually it is a differentiation. So we differentiate this E with respect to P. So when we are going to differentiate this E with respect to E, what we will get? We will get delta E is equal to 2P delta P. 2m is a constant quantity, that's why it's came here as it is. Okay, now 2p 2 is cancelled by this 2p, and we get what? Delta is equal to P del P by m. Okay, now do not confuse with this thing that I am not using here D. You can use D, but when the thing is continuous. But as you know that uncertainty is an error, and error is not a continuous thing. It is a difference between the two measurement, or we can say that is it will become only when we are doing two measurement, and there is some difference between that two measurement. So instead of writing D, I have written here delta. So it is not a big deal that why we are not using D, why we are using D. So delta and D both are the same thing basically here, but D is only when the things are continuous. Delta is used when the things are discontinuous. Okay, so after differentiating we get this is now at the place of P, we have written here m into V, because we know that the momentum is the product of mass and the velocity. So this m is cancelled by this m, and we get delta P is equal to V delta P. Now we know that the velocity is a rate of change of displacement. It is a rate of change of displacement. So velocity is equal to represented by delta x by delta t. So at the place of V, I have written here delta x by delta t. Okay. Now delta x by delta t is here, and P is and we know that from equation number 3 that P is equal to what? H upon delta x. So at the place of delta P, I have written here H upon delta x. This delta x is cancelled by this delta x. This delta t is cross multiplied by with delta e. So what we will get? We will get delta e dot delta t is equal to h, and this is our second form of Heisenberg uncertainty principle. Now we are going to third form of Heisenberg uncertainty principle. So as you know that the relationship between the angular momentum and the linear momentum is given by the J is equal to R multiplied by P, where R is a radius of a circular path, J and P are the angular moment, linear and angular momentum respectively. So if we are putting the delta with J, the uncertainty is transformed to the P, because R is a constant quantity, R is never ever certain. Okay, because it is a radius of any circular path, and the radius of circular path of a particular circular path radius is always constant. That's why the value of R is constant, so it is not taken any type of uncertainty. Now we know that the relationship between the angular moment position and angular linear position is given by this equation. So delta phi is a angular displacement or angular position. Delta x is a linear position or a linear displacement, and so this makes our equation number 6. Now we are going to multiply this equation number 5 and 6, so we will get this. Now this r is cancelled by this r, and we get this equation. And from equation 3 we know that the delta p dot delta x is equal to h, so we substitute the value of this is equal to h. So what we will get? Delta j dot delta phi is equal to h, and this is our third form of Heisenberg uncertainty principle. So today I have discussed about the concept of Heisenberg uncertainty principle, statement of Heisenberg uncertainty principle, and proof of Heisenberg uncertainty principle with the three forms. Thank you, students.